So we've had reports that rubber bullets have been fired as well as projectiles from slingshots. There's been quite a number of videos and photos coming out of people bloodied. Also, a number of people have been arrested. However, there aren't. It's unclear if there are any casualties, but we did see that people were being fired upon indiscriminately as well as into households. And then there was also a very concerning video right before the shooting started where security forces told a journalist to stop filming, and then the live video cut.
Really frightening scenes there. We understand NLD leaders are also holed up in Yangon tonight.
Yes. So the NLD national headquarters office is in Yangon, and a number of leaders were in the building for a meeting. And then the road on which the building is located was barricaded, and the police or the security forces were attempting to enter while also simultaneously holding back a crowd of protesters.
Well, clearly the protests have grown even compared to last week. How has the atmosphere changed since then?
So last week, day by day, they were slightly different. However, there was a general sense of levity, really in defiance to a lot of the fear that the military was trying to install. However, as the protests have gone on and as security forces has escalated, especially the sort of nighttime violence, people have gotten more scared, I think, and they've started to try to use different strategies in order to avoid bodily harm, but also, really just maintain their stamina over time.
And for the first time since the coup, the US Embassy advised American citizens to shelter in place. There's a real concern for safety here, isn't there?
Yes, there is. So in the first few days of the protests, or really since the coup, although there were tanks and soldiers seen in Naypyidaw, it's an administrative city, and so it's largely not lived in by most residents who aren't civil servants. Now this week is really when we're really starting to see soldiers and tanks in the streets in these large cities with millions of people in it. And while people have been facing off against the police, they are now facing off against both police as well as soldiers and tanks.
And the internet shutdown is also very real, as you have tweeted. What's that been like?
I mean, it really depends on where you are and sort of what kind of privilege you have. There are certain hotels that, have continued to function, essentially. There are people going there for a swim. And clearly this is some of the elites of Myanmar society who are able to access these sorts of things, whereas everyone else has really been scrambling. And especially because these internet shutdowns have been starting at night, especially after we see some level of security force escalation. Every night that there is an internet shutdown, people go to bed or don't, in some cases with the fear that there will be soldiers knocking at the door, that, hundreds, if not thousands of people will be disappeared into the night, or that, in one way or another, violence, destruction of property, destruction of people's homes being set on fire will happen. Largely that has not happened, although there have been nighttime detentions. It hasn't happened to the scale that people fear when they hear about yet another internet shutdown.
Meanwhile, I understand the whereabouts of Aung San Suu Kyi are still not known. She was expected to start a trial today. What was supposed to happen, and it's been postponed now?
Yes. So it's unclear why the trial was postponed. However, what was supposed to happen today was that her detention period was supposed to end, and then she was supposed to attend trial via video call, ideally after a meeting with her lawyer. Right now, what we know is that the trial has been postponed until Wednesday, and she has been remanded, despite the fact that what she is being charged with is the illegal importation of walkie-talkies, a very nonviolent crime by any measure.
So what happens next for her and also others who have been detained?
A number of people have been released. So last night in Kachin State, for example, there was also firing upon the crowd, and 5 journalists as well as a number of other people were arrested. Those journalists have been released. A number of people who've been detained at protests have also been released. However, with key figures like Aung San Suu Kyi, it's very likely that it's going to be a very long, drawn-out trial. The military in the past have shown a lot of interest in keeping her, away from the public. She really has a lot of charisma, and that's where a lot of her power lies. And so it's likely that we will not see her in public for quite a long time. And it's unclear, what exactly will happen in the trial. But based on the charges alone, it's not going to be a very fair trial.
Indeed. Aye Min Thant, thank you so much. It's great to get your insights from Yangon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.